transform your career, business, life, and relationships. This is the Growth to Freedom Show. Now, here is your host, Dan Kuschell.
Welcome to growthtofreedom.com. Are you ready to be inspired, transformed, build your leadership capabilities? Well, today's show is going to show you how to do just that. I'm Dan Kuschell, and thanks for making us part of your day. We've got a great show in store for you today. We've got an expert at helping people just like you, get rapid business breakthroughs. We're going to talk about the 5 M's, which are model, marketing management, mentoring, and mindset, and a whole lot more. And I'll get into that in just a moment. We'd love to connect with you, by the way. Our show is brought to you by doneforyousolutions.com at doneforyousolutions.com. We'd love to connect. You can join us. A lot of conversation going on Twitter here recently, and we'd love to have you join in with us. You can go to Dan_Kuschell. That's Dan_Kuschell, or feel free to email us at info@growthtofreedom.com. That's info@growthtofreedom.com. And before we're done today, we've got a special resource package that we'd love to share with you. That's right, you. And guess what? It's going to help you be better at influence, better inspired, help you be a better leader. We'll talk about that resource package in just a little bit. But before we do that, let me just give you a little heads up. I had a chance to prepare a little bit before the show. This is a gentleman I've come to know over the last couple years. I consider him today a friend. We have conversations on and off, about every month. And he's a consultant. He's an entrepreneur. He's a best-selling author. He's an expert at social e-commerce and helping people just like you get rapid business breakthrough. He's a good old boy, by the way, but don't let that fool you because he is sharp as an arrow, and you're going to learn how that arrow has far more significance than you ever thought by the time we're done today. So I want to introduce you to my good friend, Jimmy Harding. Jimmy, how are you today, my friend?
I'm fantastic, Dan, and thank you for having me. It's just, an honor and a privilege to be here. To be on your show, with all of the powerful things you have going on, and I certainly consider you to be a friend too. But, even more importantly at this moment is, anything I can do to help your audience have a breakthrough, because that's what really lights me up and drives me and keeps me getting up early in the morning and going to bed late at night.
And I know that to be true. I know we were talking as we got the show prep today about an experience. You just took a group of the high-level entrepreneurs that you work with through. You had these entrepreneurs having incredible personal breakthroughs, and you were able to translate those to business breakthroughs, having them walking over glass. You had them, as soon as that experience was done, you instantly anchored them into another experience dealing with obstacles with an arrow in their neck, with you as the coach, you two working in tandem, walking a certain distance. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, overcoming obstacles, which you're a master at. I mean, you help clients, Jimmy, go out there and set new precedents in their business. You help them disrupt. We talk about this a lot on the show, disrupting the status quo, right? Innovating, adapting, improving, looking at new ways, seeing things that others don't see, and getting there ahead of the market. And that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really it all comes down to those things, and it's always the first thing that I want to address is mindset, and not being the status quo, and thinking outside of the box, and so much is possible. And I can at some point, I can share a story about a student with you who's just been completely transformed in the last 90 days. And, not necessarily so much me. It's just that I've been able to help him create the right mindset where he's going out and doing incredible things just because he doesn't know that he's not supposed to.
That's incredible. And yes, we're going to get into that story because stories are allowed here. Initially, I was going to say no stories allowed on today's show. Every other show but today's, we've got to just stick with content, and we got to, be like an encyclopedia and just be as boring as possible. bore people to tears here. So before we do that, though, Jimmy, I want to give people a context of you. You know, you're a guy who's had incredible success. You're a coach. You've helped others achieve incredible success with what you do in your Rapid Business Breakthroughs and your ACES program. Let's talk about Jimmy, the dad, the husband, someone who's, rides the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, ups and downs. And in fact, I'd like to have you think for a moment to give everybody just perspective that you're just a real guy, right? What's been what would you say is your lowest point, either personally or professionally, that you've dealt with, or maybe what you would term your biggest mistake in business, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, well, that biggest, that biggest low point for me came in a series of things that happened in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. So I was, at that time, I was in the construction business, and I had a really successful general contracting company. And you could imagine that after Hurricane Katrina rolled into New Orleans, conditions changed. So, I had to change what I did and what I offered, and, was really blessed to help about 80 families get back in their home. And, at the end of that, there was an initial surge for about 18 months. And after that, everything kind of dried up because the stuff that wasn't really damaged too bad was fixed. And the stuff that was beyond repair, no one was making decisions because they didn't even know if they were going to issue permits for it yet.
Yep.
And, the only things available were like big government contracts, which were out of my capabilities. And, so me just having a positive attitude, I just kept saying it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. And, and it just actually kept getting worse. So, one thing that I didn't even know was available at that time was getting a coach or an expert or a mentor to help me with my business. I mean, I had literally never even heard of that stuff. And I had become so stuck in my story of loss that I couldn't even have a conversation without mentioning that. And, here I was stuck with, trying to make a new beginning with 1 foot in the future and 1 foot in the past. And I just couldn't move forward, So the biggest tragedy, I would say, in business, or not tragedy, but I mean, it was the death to Jimmy 1.0. And it took pain and going through that to literally come out and reinvent myself. But I never actually set out to reinvent myself. I set out to learn marketing and breakthroughs for myself to use in my construction business. But, I had been a coach for years. I had been I've been coaching kids and inspiring them at the ballpark, working with, troubled youths in the state National Guard program and stuff. And so, I didn't know that stuff was available for business. And I went to a Tony Robbins event and literally just had a rapid transformation and realized all the things I was doing. And, I transitioned out of that, started making some, big progress and big rapid breakthroughs from, listening to Tony's material and going to his events. And what I realized as I was learning this stuff, that I became so passionate about this that I immediately started helping others with it. And, having that go full circle for me, I just like the construction stuff just wasn't necessarily my thing anymore.
It sounds like what happened is you outgrew it, right? You transformed from Jimmy 1.0 to Jimmy 2.0. And you did reinvent yourself. And looking back over that experience, right, knowing what you know now, What would you have done differently if you could go back to the future, so to speak, or back to the past to bring the future forward?
Well, the immediate thing, that I would have done when I had the initial challenges is I would have found someone to help me, because I honestly didn't know that was available.
Yep.
And I had no idea there were things like, Genius Network, and I had no idea that there were business coaches. I mean, I really just didn't. I'm just a guy who literally, started from nothing with, doing little small things and just, not really any marketing or anything, but just doing such a great job and caring for people so much that, by the time this came, I went from, doing little small $100 jobs to having a $10 million a year company over, the course of my construction career.
Yeah, and your passion obviously shows, your empathy shows in the people that you work with, the trust that you've established. And for those of you that are watching or you're listening right now and you go, what's Jimmy talking about with these groups? And, so there's business coaching, and how Jimmy and I actually got a chance to meet was a mutual friend of ours, Joe Polish. I happened to help Joe with a lot of the growth that we're going through with Genius Network. And Genius Network is a place high-level people like Jimmy come together to get their next business breakthroughs. And they connect, they collaborate, they contribute to each other to help grow and advance and accelerate, for strategic partnerships, joint ventures, deal-making, those types of things. And Genius Network is one group. And there are a lot of groups who do some piece of that, or a mastermind group or a discussion group, or even something as simple as a meetup group. And Jimmy, there's so much wisdom in what you're sharing here in your situation with Hurricane Katrina that I think we can all learn from. And I want to challenge you as you're watching or listening right now. What would you be at you 2.0? Who would you be at you 2.0? What transformation do you want to make? And see, if you look at where you're at today and where you want to go, you don't have to wait for a tragedy to make that happen. You don't have to wait for your industry to get disrupted. You can make that change now. And when we come back, we're going to have Jimmy Harding go more into more business rapid breakthroughs here on growthtofreedom.com. Welcome back to growthtofreedom.com. As you're watching right now, as you're listening, have you ever thought to yourself, there's something more for me? There's something bigger, something better. I want to go to that next level, right? I want to transform from where I am to where I want to go. Well, to give you a recap of the first segment of the show, we've got Jimmy Harding. He's an expert at helping people experience rapid business breakthrough personally and professionally in their business. He's a best-selling author. He's an advisor. He helps people with the 5 core areas: mindset, model, marketing, management, and mentoring. We started off with the idea of mindset, and I asked Jimmy, what happened? What's the lowest point he's ever had? What he learned from it? There's so many nuggets of wisdom that at any point, guess what? As you're watching, as you're listening right now, you can go from you version 1.0 to you version 2.0. Or if you've already gone to 2.0, you can go to 3.0 for that matter, right? And that you don't want to have one foot in the past and one foot in the future and think you're going to get massive momentum, accelerated growth. You've got to make the choice. It is your time. You do deserve it. You are a winner. You are a champion. And Jimmy, with that, speaking of you being a winner, I know you take great pride in being a dad and a husband. In all your business success and what you've achieved and transitions that you've had to make, as you think about your spouse, your kids, like how do you want them to view you? Or how do you feel like, if I asked your wife right now, who is Jimmy Harding, as a husband, dad, and a business owner, what would our audience likely hear from her?
I think what they would hear is like, Jimmy is the same guy in all areas of his life. It's like what you see in business is what you get. What you see in life is what you get. And what you see as a dad is what you get. And, really I'm just trying to be congruent through all areas of my life, and not even necessarily having areas of my life, but just having different things that I focus on at different times. And, my there are many many a teary-eyed conversations when I talk about some of the results that my clients get and the breakthroughs that they've made. And as far as my son goes, I literally he walked into my office one day and he looks at my whiteboard, and I have clients' names and pictures, because I believe each client is a person, not a name on a list. So I make it real for me and put their name, a picture next to their name, and something I always see, so it helps me to carry them with me. And my son asked if he could be a client, and I said, better than that, James, I'm going to make you the leader of the sales team. So, I have him involved, and he does a little ritual, and he does his sales dance. And, so he's involved at, he's been doing that for a couple of years, and, he's 6 years old now, and he understands he's the leader of the sales team, and he needs to get his part done. And when he does his sales ritual and sales come in, he obviously gets rewarded from that. But, one of the things that I try and instill in everyone, not just the family, but it's really, family and lifestyle is first, and the business is second. And if you set that up right with the proper, with the proper model and the proper client attraction system, the number of people you can help is endless, and it's something that you don't become a slave to. So they see that I'm very congruent in the way I live and the way I try and share with my clients to get them to model me in certain areas.
That's fantastic. And speaking of modeling you, what would you say the thing you're most proud of that you see that your kids are doing as they model you?
Well, I think probably the biggest benefit is just the abundance mindset, and knowing as a 6-year-old that he has the ability to create whatever he wants.
Create whatever he wants. Now, our video engineer here, by the way, at the break, he's gotten excited about personal development. He was sharing with me that he had a chance to look at The Secret, right, which you're very familiar with, you and I both. And he was actually kind of surprised to hear I was actually filmed as one of the people that were a part of that program. I didn't make the final cut, but I got a chance to meet Rhonda, her whole team. I met a lot of the experts, as you know, through Genius Network and our friendship with Joe, that we have gotten a chance to work and meet a lot of these guys, actually do business with a lot of them as well, Jimmy. So as it relates to mindset, I want to see if we can give Matt here a little bit of coaching, is what would you say if you had to sum it all up as far as mindset? Why is mindset, as it relates to being an entrepreneur, even just a success in general, so critically or vitally important?
Because to me, mindset isn't just a $3 word that we hear it thrown around so often. Mindset. To me, rituals equal results. So to me, mindset is really putting yourself in and committing yourself to doing success rituals that, when you do them repeatedly creates results. So mindset to me isn't a type of thing like, oh, I'm pumped up, I'm going to get this done, because that only lasts so long.
Yep, temporary.
But when you can create success rituals and your mindset is, really committing and doing those rituals, that creates success. And taking it another step, that the mindset is so critical, because most entrepreneurs, or many entrepreneurs who are either starting out or they're stuck, they always get stopped by the tyranny of how. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And they're not asking good questions. But, I believe when you're in the proper mindset and you're creating your success rituals, that the how isn't important. And that breaks down to another level in why are we doing this? So what is your why? But that's another thing that gets thrown around, a bit in the personal development industry. But, knowing your why and knowing why it's so important for you to achieve your why and why you're doing this, then everything becomes about the why, not so much about the how. And then I believe when you really start to understand that the problem isn't really the problem that you're thinking about, it's the problem starts 4 or 5 steps before that, because you're not setting yourself up to empower yourself with success rituals and different mindset techniques that getting back to the root cause of, knowing why I'm doing this, why it's important, how am I going to celebrate, getting this, what leverage do I have in either a celebratory or a punishment type of way, that if you don't make that happen, and once you get that core fundamental thing, then making it happy is easy, because I really believe that most of us are just, a couple of millimeters away, and we need a shift.
And speaking of shift, Jimmy, I mean, this is incredible. As you're watching, as you're listening, would you like to make that shift that moves the dial to transform the quality of your life, build those success rituals? We'll have that and a whole lot more with Jimmy Harding on growthtofreedom.com. Welcome back to growthtofreedom.com. Boy, howdy. Let me give you a quick summary of the first 2 segments of the show. We've got Jimmy Harding, best-selling author, expert at helping people just like you experience rapid business breakthroughs. We left off in the segment talking about rituals, success rituals, been talking about mindset. We've been talking about the difference between how and why, the power of great and or better questions to transform the quality of your business. We've been talking about, you left off with the idea of leverage, right? When you start to put yourself in a situation, Jimmy, if I heard you correctly, that if I don't do this, or if you, as you're watching or listening, if you don't do this, what is the consequence or the punishment that you're going to do? And playing that game with yourself to not only set yourself up to win, but setting yourself up to have some experience of failure if you don't hit the goal, and leverage that upon yourself, not letting circumstance or the environment do that. So can you speak to that a little bit more, Jimmy, about leveraging ourselves to really set ourselves up to win?
Sure. So, this is one of the things I love most. So I just a few weeks ago had an event, and I had a bunch of my coaching students in, and, we looked at what we wanted to do over the next 90 days. And, so we figured out where we were, where we wanted to be, and how we were going to get there. And then I took that a step farther, and I said, okay, what are we going to use for leverage? So to talk about leverage, one thing I may do is I say, okay, I'm going to hit this number by a certain day, or I'm going to have this, new employees hired, this, that, whatever it is. But we were using numbers. So I said, okay, we're going to hit our number by 90 days, which is, just before Christmas. You're going to take off. Everybody's going to have the best quarter they've ever had. And to make sure that's going to happen, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to tell you what I did in the past, and I still do things. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to buy some tickets for Disney World. And I'm going to tell my son we're going to Disney World and we're going to celebrate. But before we do that, I have to hit this number, so I have this goal that I have to achieve. Now, here's the deal. I am going to tell him that, if Daddy don't hit his number, we're not going to be able to do that. And I'm not talking about if we do it, then we buy the tickets. I'm like, put yourself out there. Buy the tickets now, hold yourself accountable to your kids and to your family, because you know what? Anyone who has kids knows that they'll do more for their kids than they will for themselves. So even when you don't feel like pushing through, I'm thinking about, man, I am not going to let James down. I'm going to pick up the phone and make these calls I need to make. And that's what I call leverage.
No doubt about it. And it sounds like James would join you. He would want to join you on those calls the way you're grooming him and training him. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
That's good stuff, Jimmy. Now, speaking of rituals, I know you've got a whole bunch of rituals that you use, some things that you've learned that you don't do anymore. So let's go back to success rituals here and get started to give everybody, as you're watching, as you're listening, some real takeaway value here of things that you can start putting into practice that Jimmy's found. Again, he's worked with hundreds and thousands of clients all over the world to help experience rapid business breakthroughs. So speak to rituals and speak to some, that you've seen work, and maybe some that maybe there's that false sense of security of them working. You found out that really isn't an effective strategy.
Yeah, I always like to bring down strategies to results. And when I talk about results, I talk about bottom line results. So if you need to set up a ritual that's going to help you lose weight, if it's not measurable where you've lost weight, it's not any good. If it's to grow your business and you may achieve some vanity metrics, some feel-good stuff, but if it didn't grow your bottom line and your profits, then it's not really any good. So some of the things that specifically are just really easy to implement is I like to take, some time in the morning. And in that time, I like to hydrate myself. I like to get some exercise. I like to read a little bit of my journal and write in my journal. So those are just a few things, but I know for a fact that, there are a few key things that I do that really help set my days up for wins all the time. And that is if I drink plenty of water throughout the day and I stay hydrated, if I eat healthy, if I get some exercise, and if I work in blocks, because I will get distracted easily sitting at the computer. So what I'd like to do is work in high impact blocks.
Speaking of those high impact blocks and results, rituals that get results, we're going to give you more rituals that get results to help you maximize what you do, help you get more rapid business breakthroughs. That and a whole lot more coming up right after this with Jimmy Harding on growthtofreedom.com. Welcome back to growthtofreedom.com. Transformation, inspiration, helping you experience your next rapid breakthrough. That's what today's show is all about, our theme for today. To give you a recap of the first three segments of the show, Jimmy Harding, who's an expert at helping people just like you experience rapid business breakthroughs, has been talking about how he sets his day up to win. And some of the things that he's found to work, things like reading, writing in his journal, being able to be hydrated, exercise in the morning, and as it turns out with rituals, be looking for rituals, not that necessarily are just giving you a feel-good moment, but they're actually giving you true measurable results. So Jimmy, speak to that. Let's dive into a few of the other rituals that you use, maybe some of the technologies that you use to help you just be a better you, a more productive you, and or that you found to work with all the types of clients that you work with.
Yeah, so one of the things that I commonly use is the Win Streak app from Strategic Coach, where you're setting your day up tomorrow for a win. So like at the end of every day, I write down what are my top wins for today, my top 3 wins, and then tomorrow I'm already saying what my top 3 wins will be tomorrow. But one of the things that I find that's really across the industry of people that I work with, and authors, advisors, coaches, speakers, experts, one of the common things that I find is they are so conditioned for vanity metrics and feeling good, where if there's something about a book or a video or a website, and it hasn't really created them a dime yet. And so one of my rituals that I practice and also instill into my clients is like, one of the things I say, how many people have you reached out today to help so you give them an opportunity to pay you for your services? So that may sound very elementary, okay? But it's not, because if you don't offer someone help, you're not giving them an opportunity to get you money. And everyday business that is open for business, if they don't get a client for a week, they're in trouble. 2 weeks, they're probably going to shut the doors. If they go 3 weeks, they're probably filing bankruptcy because they have payroll, brick and mortar, rent, everything going on. Now, transfer that over to the experts industry, and so many people who are coaches and consultants, like if they go a week without getting a client, they're okay. And sometimes that's 2 weeks, and sometimes that's only one client a month. And so what I try and do is make business real for them and understand that, in the real world, people are walking in and out of retail establishments all day buying stuff, and that's what it takes. So, one of the things I say is like, you have to reach out to X number of people 20 days a month, which is 5 days a week, 4 weeks. If you're going to reach out to 3 or 5 to see if you can help them, whatever that is, get out and offer to help some people so they will have an opportunity to write you a check.
It's so critically important, isn't it, Jimmy? I mean, everything that I'm hearing you talk about today, if I had to summarize it in one word, distinctions, right? The distinctions in the questions we ask, the distinction as it relates to mindset, the distinction in the types of things we do or we don't do. These tiny distinctions make all the difference. I heard Babs Smith of Strategic Coach that you brought up earlier. Babs talked about what she's gotten out of Genius Network. And she says, there's a big difference between marketing and direct response marketing. And that's a distinction, right? Marketing, big box agency marketing is a big waste of money. And most people that follow that advice, they get what they get, which is nothing. And on the other hand, if you follow direct response marketing, the distinction is it's measurable impact, results-oriented marketing that you can identify today from what you did today. And that's what you're talking about, is setting yourself up to win, knowing what to measure in the first place. These tiny distinctions can make all the difference. Little hinges, Joe calls it, that swing big doors to get the big breakthroughs. And that's what you essentially show people how to do. Now, let's talk about leadership, because obviously in doing what you do, one of the quotes I heard years ago from one of my coaches, he said, you can tell the real leaders in the world by the arrows in their back. And if people aren't talking about you, it means you aren't doing a whole lot overall. So like for you and what you're pursuing with your business, where do you see trends shifting today where people could catch a wave or be ahead of that curve as you're guiding your clients, your coaches, your consultants, your experts that you work with overall?
I see the biggest trend and opportunities in changing the way we do publishing and information for people that sell information, and really to move from the information publishing into offering transformation. So moving from information to transformation. And really, this may, this kind of sounds, just like another one of those $3 words or something, but, set yourself apart. And what I like to do is use Jay Abraham's, strategy of preeminence. And
yes.
so never do anything for your client or offer them anything that is not in their best interest. So, I see an opportunity for so many people in this new age that if they would just build a community and do only what's absolutely best for those people. I mean, I can't tell you down the process to work with me is through application, and I just don't take on clients that I don't truly believe I can make a massive impact for. And that's how I get the reputation that I have. That's how I'm able to say that, man, everyone who comes through my program gets results and this and that, is because it's not about the money for me. It's about transformation. And if I can't give insights and distinctions, I mean, the information that I'm giving is you can find in a book for 99 cents on Amazon. But what I'm doing is becoming a leader and inspiring people to take action and to measurable results that impact the bottom line. So it's simple things, but to me there's not anything any more elegant than simple little measurable models and processes that we can do. It's like that, easy, lucrative, and fun that Joe has.
Yeah, and again, coming back to distinctions, Jimmy, I mean, when you sum up the leadership model that you just described for me, what pops up is you talked about it in the first segment, right? Which is your version of it was you can be a slave to your business, right? Or people sometimes describe it as working on your business versus in your business, right? And
yes.
What I hear you saying is this distinction: it's you can be a slave or serving your business, or you can be a servant leader. And that distinction makes all the difference, right? It's you being preeminent, not just, it's like in the movie industry, there's a big difference between being just an actor or being an actor producer or a producer or being the movie company that owns all the films. And we ultimately get to choose what game we want to play. So choose wisely, folks. As you're watching, as you're listening, I hope you'll take Jimmy's advice and choose to be a servant leader in your industry, in your niche, to be your very best. Now, Jimmy, I know as we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to share with people how they can reach out to you. I want to go through a series of little hot seat questions here, rapid fire style. Sure. I know you've worked with a lot of students and you've gotten a lot of success for your students. What would you say you're most proud of right now with some of the student successes that you've had?
Well, taking clients that were doing six figures a year and helping them do six figures a month, month after month after month. Helping clients that are still in a corporate job and rapidly building a business so they could leave that corporate job. So, guys going from 0 to 35K in 90 days per month, so those are the type of things, because just like I live my life and I have everything built around my business, I hate to see, people that, have 3-hour commutes and are in the office 9 hours a day. That's half of the day, 12 hours. How are you going to be able to lead your kids when you do that? So I'm just into helping everyone really leverage the freedom economy.
And you do that extremely well, Jimmy. I guess if you were looking at your 19-year-old self, right, and you were going to give yourself advice, looking back over it, what would that advice be that you'd give your 19-year-old self right now? The one thing that I would say that I wish I would have done differently is in the businesses that I had, I would have set those businesses up and taking what Tony Robbins calls a money machine, where one of the models I use with my students is like, let's not look at asset allocation. Let's look at revenue allocation. So, each cent of that dollar that comes in the door goes somewhere. So, I've literally been in business, around, I can't say exactly, 32, 34 years. I mean, I'm an old dude, but I've been in business my whole life. I haven't really worked for anyone else, And, when I think about
what I know now that I didn't know then is if I would have been investing a portion of everything that came into the business into a money machine, because the thing you can never go back and get is the power of compounded interest. So I share with everyone, hey, if you can take 10 cents out of every dollar that comes in the door and put that into a money machine and literally create a second business that starts to work and grow for you and create an asset, and you do that systematically, that is the biggest thing that I missed. And now I know, so I'm so passionate about helping people start, because you know what? It's true that I missed that, but you know what? There's no reason I can't start today, so I never have to say I missed another day.
And speaking of missing another day, I don't want to have you, as you're watching, as you're listening, miss this opportunity to learn more about Jimmy, all the great resources that he's got available. Jimmy, how do people reach out to you? Where do they find you?
Jimmy's everywhere. Hey, you type in Google Jimmy Harding in Google, and you'll see my website there, or you could go to jimmyharding.com. You could type in Facebook. I'm all over the place. I'm on social media a lot. On my personal profile and my business page, because that's where my audience is. That's the people who are looking for help with the coaches and authors and consultants, speakers. They're on social media trying to grow their business. So that's where I'm at to help them. And then, my corporate clients generally go to my website through some type of, traffic, some type of paid advertising where I'm sending them to a particular page. So,
and I want to encourage you to go visit Jimmy at jimmyharding.com. Find him on social media. He's a down-to-earth guy. He can help you get your next business breakthrough, a rapid business breakthrough at that. So check out what he's doing. Jimmy, it's an absolute honor and a privilege to have you on the show yet again. I know you're back by popular demand. Buddy, it's great to talk to you, connect with you. I hope we can do this again right around the corner.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's been a privilege to share with you and your audience.
The pleasure's ours. And as you're watching, as you're listening, I want to challenge you. Take action with what Jimmy's been talking about. Put those rituals in place. Work on the mindset. Find a mastermind group. Find a collaboration group. And if this show's resonated with you in some small way, I challenge you. Seize the day. Make it a great week. We'll see you next time on growthtoFreedom.com.